So I wanted to show you guys this little thing I'd set up here. It's for a radiant floor heat. I'd looked at a lot of different things whenever I was remodeling this house, and I kind of wanted to have a little bit of radiant floor heat in it. The majority of the house is a crawl space, but this back little porch was so low. Whenever I tore the floor out, I didn't want to put a crawl space back in, so I just put some gravel down. And then filled it up with concrete. As you can kind of see, it's just got the engineered wood floor. There's some of the pipes coming back. Goes out and it comes back in. That pipe really only covers, from about the door frame back to the exterior wall. The pantry that it's sitting in, I didn't necessarily want to heat it. That way if the door was closed, it didn't get too hot in here, mess with some of the foods and the other stuff that's stored in here. So I left it unheated. However, there's enough air movement that can come back and forth through here. The pipe that's going out provides just a little bit of heat in it as well. I've used it for the last, I think just one season now. Last winter, but it works great. It was overall fairly inexpensive to do. So whenever I did the concrete, I laid the lines in. I went and got the oxygen resistant, whatever it is, the special tubing for radiant floor heat. Menards, Home Depot, whatever it was that I bought it from. It's fairly inexpensive. I think I got a 300-foot roll and didn't really use very much of it. I think it's only kind of across here. I think it's only probably 15 feet and then about 8 feet wide for this little space back here. For the size of the system, it's great sitting back in here in the wintertime. Sit back here, read my books, work on a little bit of computer work and stuff. I love it. My feet stay warm. I don't necessarily have to heat the entire house as warm. And it just kind of feels a little bit better back in here. So this is just an electric water heater. It's hardwired back into the system. Whenever I moved, my utility room used to be back here, and I put it into a different spot. So the old wire going to my old dryer, I just repurposed it, brought it back over here, brought it down to use the heat for it. You just need to look to see whatever you need for heat for yourself. Or excuse me, the electric size. I think it's 110 with maybe a 30 amp circuit. I can't remember for sure right offhand. I put the expansion tank on. I don't really have a clue if I did it right or not, but it's there just in case, I suppose. I don't know what the just in case is. Overall, this thing's a closed loop system, but it's just runoff water. So the main water line's coming in here. It comes out of the crawl space from my main line coming in. I put a shutoff valve in it. That way if I had a leak within the system, I didn't just waste all the water all the time and not know it until I got 2 or 3 really large bills. So the water stays shut off, but it comes in, goes through this little back pressure gauge, kind of a backflow type preventer, one-way valve. So it goes up but can't go back down. Little check valve in there. That way, whenever it's pumping, it doesn't pump water back down. I didn't want it to feed back into the system. I wanted it to come out but not down or back to it. So it's coming up. It hits another valve here. That way it's there in case I need it. This valve was a little bit unique because it's got a bleeder valve on it. I can open that up. At the beginning of the season, whenever I initially filled it, I need to be able to get the air out of the lines. So I put, so when the domestic water's coming in, I leave the pump turned off, open up the bleeder valve, and I just flow water through it until all the air is out. Shut the valve back off. I wish I would have done something a little bit different here to see if I couldn't have found a way, either just used a whole separate valve and kind of tee off and go back down. That way I could have drained it back out into a bucket or something. This thing's a pain in the butt. I just have to hold a towel here to keep the water from dripping everywhere. So maybe at some future point, maybe I'll cut this one spot or the other, put another valve in and kind of tee it there. Put some kind of a tee on there to where I can drain it easier, to make sure that air's out. It comes up. I usually leave the temp set for about 120 degrees, 110, 120, somewhere in there. Comes back out, goes through the pump, and then back down the line. It goes into the floor here. And again, I didn't necessarily know where this wall was going to be. So I think the tubes kind of are somewhere right in here, most likely. Yeah, so then it goes down, circles through the floor several times. I'll see if I can find some of the pictures or the time lapse that I did on it. I'm posting the video as well. So I'm having to do a little bit of a voiceover here. This was the original back porch there. It was my old laundry room. It also had a closet there, kind of on that one end, which is where the pantry is now. Digging all of it down. Here we are putting the pipe back in. I filled it in with the gravel. I put a vapor barrier down. What I didn't do was put any kind of insulation in here. I didn't really notice a difference without it. So if I was doing it again, I'd probably put the insulation down. At the time, whenever I actually did this, that insulation board was fairly expensive. And for the small little area that I had going on, I just kind of left it out. So finishing the concrete, man, it was hot that day. Super muggy and just hot, kind of middle of summertime. I did have a buddy come by. He did the spray foam insulation for me, so this whole back porch is all spray foam. The ceiling and the walls there. This house was built back in like the 50s or something, so it had some add-ons to it and some weird things. This ceiling height was really low, so kind of where I put that soffit in. I took out part of the ceiling, made the angle, raised that ceiling up. It was a lot nicer. I liked it. There's also some track lighting in there, some LED track lighting. I really should have got some video of it because it was kind of a fun project. The whole room, though, does need some more lighting, so maybe one of these days I'll add some extra to it. So, yeah. So it's got the pump. I had to play with it for a little bit to kind of get my delta within right. This little tool here is what I used. To gauge the temperatures on everything. So whenever the system's running, I can see the temperature that it's discharging, and then I'll put it over here, write that number down, and then I can put it over here on the return line, and get what that delta is coming through the system. For the most part, I had it turned up to the highest setting for a while, and then whenever I finally got the thermometer, that line thermometer, I noticed that it was coming back in a lot hotter and wasn't really necessarily dissipating out in the system into the concrete. So I was able to kind of adjust down. I went all the way to the lowest setting at one point. It worked, but it seemed to cool off too much. So that number 2 setting's been pretty decent on this system. I'm not an engineer by any means, so I just kind of guessed on all of this. The thermostat that I'm kind of using here, this thermostat here, you can set it for heating or cooling, and it just kind of turns on and turns off. It's a super easy, super simple system. I think this is actually meant more for some kind of a greenhouse type system or something. I need to figure out a better way to hold the sensor here. I had it up high. I've been keeping it up high, kind of up in here. I'd kind of like to just drill through the wall and get it up high somehow. So at some point I'll finish cleaning that up. I wanted to make sure the system was going to work the way I wanted it to. Because I do have a central HVAC system, I've really got to get the central HVAC system kind of set where it wants to be, and then kind of dial this in to where it needs to be as well, so it'll shut off, turn on and turn off as it needs, as it calls for heat. When the central HVAC's running, it can almost heat up too much back here and shut this thing off prematurely, and then the concrete never really warms up the way it's supposed to. So playing with that can be a little bit of a challenge, but it's not too bad. Overall, the system works great. When I get it all dialed in, it doesn't take that much. So kind of within 2 or 3 degrees of whatever the central HVAC system set at. I can set this to be about the same, maybe a little warmer, and it works great. But yeah, it was kind of a fun little thing to set up. I'd thought about it in my head for a long time, wasn't real sure how I was going to do it, watched a lot of different YouTube videos on it. It seems like there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. It's like, yeah, this isn't going to work, this will work, this won't work, this will work. So for me, for what I'm using it for, it works for me. I would probably use this thing out in like a little standalone garage if I had one, just a small, like a small shop building or something, if it wasn't very big. If it was much bigger, I've seen larger water heaters out there that would probably work just the same. I think it would just have to be really insulated. So yeah, that's kind of the system that I've got going on. If you have any questions, let me know. Some of these parts and stuff. The pump I got off Amazon. This thermostat came off of Amazon. I don't know if I bought this from Home Depot or bought it off Amazon as well. The line gauge I got off Amazon. The one thing I didn't have is any kind of pressure gauges. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not an engineer and I don't understand it, but I didn't put anything on there. So other than maybe changing and putting an extra valve on there, like I said earlier, to be able to drain the air out of it a little bit easier, and then get the probe for the thermostat mounted somewhere. Overall, I think the system's up and going. If I ever actually learn how the expansion tank works, maybe I'll do better with it too. So I don't know. But the system works. So if you find yourself needing one, that's it. Reach out. I'll be happy to help out a little bit with what I can. I'm not very smart when it comes to it, but it is what it is. See you guys on the next adventure.